Tales of questionable decisions and steamy encounters just waiting for us. Yeah, that's my boy AJ's reality. Living in the shadows, stewing in a whole pot of rage. Then one day, he spots his old man with some absolute knockout. A woman way too young for him. And, oh, the kicker? It's Daddy's shiny new girlfriend. That's when the switch flips in AJ's head. He makes a vow, a dark little promise of revenge. He's gonna take the one thing his father actually seems to care about. So the game begins. A slow, calculated burn to pull her in. Step. But here's the real tea. Will our boy AJ actually pull this off? Checkmate the girl and get his revenge? Or is his own stupid heart gonna trip him up and turn this whole twisted game into something dangerously real? This is 1 year, no more. A romance manhwa playbook of payback, passion, and seriously bad decisions. The whole world just melted away as she stared up at him, those brilliant blue eyes just swimming with a cocktail of shock and awe. She's whispering about how this can't be real, how this whole thing feels like some kind of steamy, a woman way too young for him. And, oh, the kicker? It's Daddy's shiny new girlfriend. That's when the switch flips in AJ's head, and seriously bad decisions. The whole world just melted away as she stared up at him. He leaned in, his voice a low rumble, and asked if she was ready to stop dreaming. And just like that, any shred of doubt she had just went up in the supercharged smoke between them. He pulled her into a kiss that wasn't just a kiss, it was a full-blown electrical storm, getting deeper and hotter by the second. He pulls back just enough to breathe, whispering her name. Clare, his finger tracing the outline of her lips, while she just gazes up, totally and completely under his command. The Grand Elder Hotel stood there, all glitz and glam under the night sky, but all that luxury did jack to cool AJ's burning resentment. He felt a heavy sigh escape as he stalked through the lobby, the polished floor so shiny it reflected his own pissed-off face right back at him. He was so over this place, overplaying the part. With a stride that meant business, AJ hit the elevator, his hand jabbing the call button, his face a perfect mask of ice-cold indifference. The doors slid open, revealing a mirrored cage where his own reflection stared back, that same flicker of I'm about to break something in its eyes. Inside, his mind was screaming, I am so freaking done with this golden cage. As the doors sealed him in, trapping him with his own boiling frustration, his eyes narrowed, holding a spark that could start an inferno. The air in his father's ridiculously perfect office was so tense you could cut it with a platinum credit card. There's AJ, a high school senior, summoned from cram school for what was probably another soul-crushing lecture. Hey, AJ called out, the exhaustion practically dripping from his voice. Inside, his mind was screaming, I am so freaking done with this golden cage. As the doors sealed him in, come here, he waved his son over, holding out a fat stack of papers. I was neck-deep in textbooks, and you just had to call me over. What's the emergency this time? AJ shot back, not even trying to hide his annoyance. His father's answer was a corporate sledgehammer. You're flying to Singapore with me tomorrow. Shareholders meeting. Read these on the plane. AJ's brain went into overdrive, huge exam in the morning, but his dad's tone said not up for debate. What? Sorry, Dad. I've got a major exam tomorrow morning, so that's a no-go. Why don't you just take your secretary like usual? He tried, desperate for an out. I skipped so much class to play your business partner that I'm basically failing. Classmates. And just like that, the old man's face turned to stone. A classroom? Please. That's nothing compared to the real-world experience. Oh, here we go. The confrontation level just shot up, with Daddy Dearest dropping the destiny bomb. Don't you forget, you're the sole heir to my 5-star hotel empire. All you do is screw around. How am I supposed to trust you with anything in the future? That pressure from his dad was like a physical weight on AJ's shoulders, just fueling that fire in his gut. And with this smug, condescending smirk, the old man basically laughed in his face, asking if getting laid was his only life goal. But my boy AJ? He'd hit his limit. The dam finally broke. He just exploded, his voice cracking with all that frustration he'd been swallowing for years. He's screaming about how he's been his father's little puppet since he was a kid, with zero social life to show for it. And all he wants, all he's asking for, is a taste of freedom. But talking to his dad is like screaming at a brick wall, who just coldly spits back that it's all for his own good. AJ's desperate, pleading, I'm 18, a senior. But his dad just slams his hand on the desk, cutting him off. This isn't a chat, it's an order. And snap. That was it. You could see AJ's hand ball up into a white-knuckled fist. With ice in his veins, he just says it. I'm leaving. For good. The whole room went dead silent, as his father's eyes narrowed into these dangerous little slits, his voice a low rumble. What did you say? But AJ just doubled down, screaming that he was out. His voice just bounced off the walls, full of finality. But his dad's anger was something else, simmering right under this creepy calm surface as his voice dropped to this possessive growl, reminding AJ who held all the cards in this messed-up game. Then, with a twisted little smirk, he he lays down the law. His big ultimatum. Walk out that door, and he'll be left with less than nothing. And just to twist the knife, he slides a single credit card across the desk, the very symbol of the golden cage he'd kept his son locked in. Joke's on him, though. That threat was totally limp. All the money in the world couldn't buy him back now. You could see the fire burning in AJ's eyes as he makes one last, gut-wrenching plea to just be his own damn person. With his bridges burned and nowhere to turn, AJ kills the engine on his bike, the sound dying in the empty street. He looks up at this flickering, seedy motel sign, and his face just twists. Yep, this was it. Home sweet times Thole for the night. And let me tell you, the room was even sadder than he pictured. He just collapses onto this bed that was clearly built for a garden gnome, his feet dangling off the end. So, this is freedom, huh? Smells like desperation and cheap disinfectant, but no time to cry about it. Survival mode was officially on, and that meant one thing. He needed cash, like, yesterday. He flips open his laptop, that familiar blue light hitting his face, now set with pure determination. It's a crypto trading platform, and oh, the irony is so thick you could choke on it. He remembers his dad, just last week, teaching him how to play the market. A bitter little smile plays on his lips. He remembered every single word, spotting the signs of a downward trend instantly. The very weapon his father used to control him? Yeah, that was about to become his golden ticket out. His eyes are just locked on the screen. So, this is freedom, huh? Smells like desperation and cheap disinfectant, but no time to cry about it. Survival mode was officially on, and that meant one thing. Asterisk, cha-ching. Asterisk. A sweet, satisfying sound. Profit. It wasn't a jackpot, but it was times his asterisk. You could see the defiant smirk spreading across his face. The room was even sadder than he pictured. He just collapses onto this bed that was clearly built for a garden gnome, his feet dangling off the end. Just a constant rhythm of wins, stacking up day after day. Fast forward a few months, and man, the picture is completely different. My boy AJ cashed in his chips and swapped that sketchy motel for a postcard-perfect beach resort, complete with a drink sweating in his hand. But then he spots some lovey-dovey couple strolling into the sunset, and boom, soul-crushing boredom hits him like a rogue wave. Turns out, having a fat stack of cash doesn't magically make your solo travel adventure feel less empty. I mean, he ditched school for times this asterisk, while the rest of us are drowning in textbooks. And for the first time, a little light bulb flickers on in that thick skull of his. The thought? Maybe he should just go back, survive one more year of high school hell, and times hunt down his deadbeat dad. All this while the ocean is doing its gentle, lapping thing, totally oblivious. Yeah, paradise was officially over. As AJ glared at the big blue nothing, one salty thought bubbled to the surface. He found himself wondering how dear old dad was doing. And just like that, decision made, he ditched the sandy shores for the oh-so-charming brick and cinder block, reality of our old high school. It was the first day back, and let's just say his grand re-entrance caused a few ripples. The gossip mill fired up instantly. A gaggle of girls practically melted when they saw him, whispering about how he looked like he walked straight out of a romance manhwa, but their little heart palpitations meant less than nothing to him. A heavy weight settled in his gut as he trudged across the parking lot, each step feeling like a mile. Let's be real. His crew was gone, shipped off to college dorms and frat parties. And just as that lonely boy angst was about to swallow him whole, a voice cut through the noise. It was yelling his name, and he looks up to see this girl barreling toward him. She finally skids to a stop, bent over and totally winded. Gasping for air, she finally looks up. It's Jenny, his ride or die from back in the day, and she immediately starts giving him hell for ghosting her on his big return. My dude AJ is just standing there, completely tongue-tied, and mumbles some weak sauce apology about, having a lot on his plate. But her fake outrage just evaporates, replaced by this killer smile. Seriously, the girl is practically buzzing with excitement that they're finally seniors together, in the same homeroom and everything. As they start walking, AJ's doing that awkward neck rub thing, feeling like the class grandpa. I mean, he's basically a fossil in high school years. But before he can spiral into a full-blown existential crisis, Jenny tells him he's not the only one, right as another voice yells his name. Next thing you know, a pair of arms are clamped around him from behind. And who is it? Our boy Chio. The same Chio who was supposed to be off chugging cheap beer at some university. Turns out, he took a gap year too, making for one hell of a reunion. Chio just starts cracking up, totally relieved. He's joking that for a hot second, he was panicking about who he was going to cheat off of this year. And AJ, with that classic, cocky smirk, just coolly tells him to get bent and do his own damn work. The easy back and forth felt normal, And for a split second, this wave of actual gratitude hits AJ. He knew he was lucky to have them. But this little feel-good moment? Just a quick pit stop on the highway to payback. I mean, he's basically a fossil in high school years. But before he can spiral into a full-blown existential crisis, Jenny tells him he's not the only one, right as another voice yells, imagining the look on the old man's face when he sees how well AJ's doing, a look that would go from shocked to smug real quick, followed by some lecture about how he taught him everything he knows. Right as the sun starts to dip, painting the sky all kinds of dramatic colors, the low purr of an engine he knows all too well slices through the evening quiet. A slick, black sedan glides up to the curb, and AJ's whole vibe just hardens. He knows that car. He knows that sound. It's a dead giveaway. His eyes narrow, locking onto the car as it stops. The driver's side opens. And then the passengers. There's his father, stepping out like he owns the place. But it's the woman sliding out next to him that makes AJ's blood run cold. A little shiver snakes its way up his spine, imagining the look on the old man's face when he sees how well AJ's doing, a look that would go from shocked to smug real quick, followed by some lecture about how. And then it hits him, a sudden, shocking spark. No way. Could this woman, this bombshell, with the river of blonde hair, be his dad's new piece? And eyes so blue they could drown a man, turns her head. For a second, it feels like her gaze cuts right through the twilight and locks onto him. In her hand, she's clutching a purse, a forced elegance in the way she held herself. And AJ felt this jolt. Part shock, part something way more primal. Then the whole damn scene shifted. He was watching from across the street as his old man spoke to her, a little cash for company gesture passing between them. The woman's reaction was priceless. A hesitant shake of the head, a flash of pure discomfort, because he times knows times her. Or at least, he knows that face, a face that's the total opposite of the ice queen he was expecting. His mind starts racing, trying to connect the dots. The door to the private room slid open with a low hum, and the woman who stepped inside froze solid. AJ's lips twisted into a grim smirk. Just as I thought, he breathed, his plan for payback cementing in his mind. This whole setup was like a scene from some twisted romance manhwa, and he was about to flip the script. A perfectly calculated smirk played on his lips as he completely ignored his own father standing right beside her. His gaze, hot and heavy, was locked only on her. It was, he purred, a pleasure to meet her. The first shot in his war of revenge had just been fired, and his pretty little target was already caught dead in the crossfire. A perfectly calculated smirk played on his lips as he completely ignored his own father standing right beside her. His gaze, hot and heavy, but he's not alone. On his arm is a girl who looks like she should be cramming for midterms, not playing arm candy for a man his dad's age. AJ's brain just short-circuited, trying to process the absolute train wreck before his eyes. He had to know what was going on. Peeking through the restaurant window, the situation only got more deliciously messed up. He watched his father slide a fat stack of cash across the table, telling her to take it. Looking completely flustered, the woman tried to refuse, but he just bulldozed over her. But he's not alone. On his arm is a girl who looks like she should be cramming for midterms, not playing arm candy for a man his dad's age. And his pretty little target was already caught dead in the crossfire. So, asterisk this times was why the old man hadn't even bothered to call. He was too busy entertaining his new flavor of the month to even remember he had a son. A whole lifetime of bitter memories came flooding back. He remembered acing his exams, only for his father's promised reward to be endlessly delayed. He remembered being forced to obey every command, even being kept from his own mother after the divorce. Whether it was hitting the books or grinding at work, AJ had done everything demanded of him, desperately chasing an ounce of approval that never came. And seeing his father now, making it rain on a stranger without a second thought, it confirmed everything. The old man hadn't changed one damn bit. He was still the same selfish monster who only ever thought of himself. While he, the son, was forced to suffer, his father was taking everything that should have rightfully been his and just giving it away to some girl. The sheer injustice of it all burned a hole right through him. He turned his back on the pathetic scene, walking away with a heavy, deliberate stride. For a split second, a bitter thought crossed his mind, a sarcastic little wish for their happiness. But that fragile peace shattered in an instant. The shadows on his face couldn't hide the dangerous glint that ignited in his eyes as a chilling new resolve took hold. He was done begging for scraps from his foolish father. He was done being the forgotten son. From now on, he wouldn't ask for what was his. He was going to take it all back himself. And his father's new plaything? She was on the move, slipping into a waiting taxi. But AJ wasn't about to let his only lead just disappear into the night. With a cold resolve, he lifted his phone. Click. He snaps his visor down, his eyes behind it burning with that Psycho X intensity, and twists the throttle. His father was taking everything that should have rightfully been his and just giving it away to some girl. The sheer injustice of it all burned a hole right through him. He was going to take it all back himself. And his father's new plaything? She was on the move, slipping into a waiting taxi. He was done begging for scraps from his foolish father. He was done being the forgotten son. From now on, he wouldn't ask for what was his. His bike screams to life. this growling beast ready to pounce. But the big, dramatic chase doesn't end at some high-rise penthouse or some designer store. So, from his little stakeout spot, AJ watches the clock. And get this, his dad's new toy is actually working? She's all grace and smiles with the customers. Not a single trace of the money-hungry vixen he was so sure she was. Wild. Finally, it's closing time. She and her coworker are wiping down tables when, right on cue, the little bell on the door jingles, cutting through the silence. Our girl turns, a sweet welcome, already forming on her lips, but the words just die in her throat, because standing there, filling the entire doorway, is AJ. And honey. He's radiating this dark magnetic energy that just sucks all the air out of the room. A total walking violation. Her friend audibly gasps, whispering about the god-tier hottie who just walked in, and all Claire can do is squeak out some pathetic agreement, totally blindsided by the wolf who just strolled into her little sheep pen. Seriously. Her coworker is about to short-circuit. She's whispering that if she wasn't already cuffed, she'd be climbing him like a tree, practically begging her friend to take the order before she does something she'll regret with her own boyfriend. So, Claire takes a deep breath, squares her shoulders, and walks toward the lion's den. She tries to keep it professional, offering him the special of the day. But AJ? Oh, he's not here for a latte. He just waves the menu away. His eyes are locked on her, a total heat-seeking missile. He tells her straight up he doesn't want a drink. What he's interested in is her. Ever since the first moment he laid eyes on her. The question just hangs there, heavy and electric. Can I get to know you? Our girl is completely fried. A blush just explodes across her face as she stammers, her brain completely offline. Spotting her friend about to spontaneously combust, the cavalry arrives. And by that, I mean her coworker, Somi, swoops in to play the most chaotic wingwoman in history. She blurts out. Her name's Claire. She's 21, and 100% single. Claire, of course, looks like she wants the floor to swallow her whole. But the damage is done. AJ just absorbs this info dump with this slow, knowing smirk on his face as he introduces himself. AJ. 19. Oh my god. Somi is literally vibrating. And she grabs a beet-red Claire, yanking her into the back room for an emergency pep talk. She's all... A guy who looks like he walked right off the pages of a romance manhwa doesn't just show up every day. It's time for you to get back out there after, Somi's convinced there's absolutely no harm in a little conversation, so she gives Claire one last shove back out towards the gorgeous predator, waiting for his prey. Fueled by her friend's insane hype man energy, Claire finally caves with this tiny, flustered, okay. Taking this as a win, Somi whispers, make him your favorite, a Thai iced tea. A detail Claire can't believe she even remembered. A second later, with her heart trying to beat its way out of table, but let's be real, our boy isn't looking at the drink. His gaze is a laser, cutting right through her as he says, you like Thai iced tea? It wasn't a question, it was a goddamn proclamation. My girl is so stunned, he noticed. She can barely even manage a timid nod. Oh, and that little nod? It just fuels the fire. A dangerous smirk plays on AJ's lips as he stares at her, like he's just found his new favorite flavor. And let me tell you, he's ready to feast, because this hunt is just getting started. Fast forward 2 weeks, and the stage is set at the sprawling Bangkok University campus. The place is buzzing. As a crowd gathers at the university gates, the gossip is flying. A couple of students are practically drooling, gawking at this ridiculously handsome god leaning against the wall, whispering about whether he's some K-pop idol making a surprise appearance. And right on cue, here comes Somi, our resident chaos agent, literally dragging a very reluctant Claire to see what all the fuss is about. But as they get closer, Claire's jaw just about hits the pavement. No. Freaking. Way. Before she can even process it, Somi's waving her arms like a lunatic, shouting AJ's name and proudly announcing she brought her friend, like she's presenting a prize. Claire, completely mortified, immediately dives for cover behind her bag. But girl, the damage is done. He just coolly greets them both by name. Peeking over her purse, she squeaks out what in the world he's doing here. With a smile that could turn an Arctic winter into a heat wave, he says his class ended early and he just had times to see her. Mission accomplished. Somi promptly pieces out, leaving a flustered Claire all alone with the man who's been living rent-free in her head. His voice, all low and velvety, slides into the awkward silence, asking if him waiting for her is a problem. Flustered, Claire nearly trips over her own tongue. She scrambles to deny it, stammering that she's just not used to this kind of 5-star attention. AJ's whole vibe softens as he sighs that it's been 2 very long weeks. With her constantly buried in work, they've barely had a real chance to connect. A little pang of guilt hits her. She starts to apologize, but he's a pro. He expertly flips the script, claiming he's just worried she's pushing herself way too hard. He then casually mentions the cafe is closed, so she must be free. Unless, he adds with a look that could see right through her, she has some other asterisk special times work to do. Relieved, she confirms she's all clear for the day. And boom. That predatory smile is back. Without missing a beat, his hand gently closes over hers, sending a jolt right through her as he declares he's taking her somewhere nice to eat. The hunt is so on. The scene then explodes into something straight out of a steamy romance manhwa, a ridiculously lavish hotel, bathed in the golden light of sunset. This isn't just any dinner date. AJ is pulling out all the stops, ushering his father's new little project into an exclusive private room that is absolutely dripping with elegance. As a waiter stands by, the woman's eyes go wide, her cool facade starting to crack as she scans the menu. Her brain is short-circuiting at the insane prices. This is her first time anywhere this fancy, and even the cheapest dish on the menu costs a small fortune. But our boy AJ, he's the picture of cool confidence, leaning back in his chair with that casual, killer smirk. She has some other asterisk special times work to do. Relieved, she confirms she's all clear for the day. And boom. That predatory smile is back. Just any dinner date. AJ is pulling out all the stops, ushering his father's new little project into an exclusive private room. Costs a small fortune. But our boy AJ, he's the picture of cool confidence, leaning back in his chair with that casual, killer smirk. I mean, what a power move. Despite the grand offer, she politely insists on paying her own way, feeling way more. Just when she thought the night couldn't get any more extravagant, AJ leads her out front to a gleaming, fire-engine red sports car. Stunned, she asks if it's really his, and our boy just smirks, casually mentioning it would be more comfortable, since she's wearing a skirt. This next-level display of wealth sends her mind reeling. She feels so completely out of her depth, she can't even see the shore. Beginning, she had a gut feeling that AJ was someone important, and now, she's starting to see she didn't even know the half of it. So he leans in, all gentle and concerned, and asks my girl Claire if she's feeling a little out of place. And she, bless her heart, admits she feels like she's crashed a party way out of her league. A world this shiny just isn't her scene. Now, this little confession gives AJ pause for, like, a nanosecond before he pivots with a move so slick it's almost a crime. He closes the distance, his voice dropping to a purr, asking if she's got a thing for older men, acting all worried that his youthful charm won't be enough to seal the deal. She's left wondering why someone so seemingly perfect would ever be chasing after her. Back inside, AJ senses her sudden chill and, age is just a number. As long as two people's souls are vibing, that's the only thing that really matters. A wave of quote-unquote relief washes over AJ's face, but I see that little smirk playing on his lips as he admits he was times worried she only went for silver foxes. Checkmate, you little devil. He leans back, cool as a cucumber, and flips the whole script. And boom. My girl is completely short-circuited, totally speechless. Finally, she gets her act together and softly explains that when it comes to the messy business of love, admitting she only knows all the normal, everyday spots. But our boy AJ is playing 4D chess here. He gently reaches across the table, his fingers doing this little electric brush against hers, whispering that it's perfect. He just wants to get a taste of her world. And right as that tension is about to snap, the scene cuts. We jump forward 3 whole days to the Shark Tank known as high school. Back in the classroom, AJ has this ridiculously smug grin plastered on his face while he's tapping away on his phone. It's so painfully obvious that some girl leans over, trying to peep who he's texting that's got him looking like the cat that ate the canary. Then another one of his friends chimes in, announcing to the whole class that AJ is chasing after some college girl. Bam! The gossip train has officially left the station, caught completely red-handed, telling her that for their next date, she's the one calling the shots. Claire, my sweet insecure baby, hesitates, but that wicked little grin tells a whole different story, a plot straight out of some spicy romance manhwa. Later that night, with rain streaking down the window, our boy is back in his lair, lounging in his pajamas. He's zeroed in on his phone, the blue glow lighting up his face like he's plotting a world takeover. His thumbs are flying across the screen as he crafts his next attack. Claire, are you free on Sunday? And just like that, a reply pops up. My girl cheerfully texts back that she's all done with her work. He'll just drive them somewhere more intimate, completely shutting down her excuse. She agrees, and the next rendezvous is locked in. Rainy weather, but this kid has an answer for everything. He smoothly reassures her that if the sky opens up, he'll just drive them somewhere more intimate, completely shutting down her excuse. She agrees, and the next rendezvous is locked in. But the second times that phone hits the table, the Prince Charming act evaporates. A dark, twisted smirk curls his lips as he stares at the downpour, literally thinking the harder it rains, the better. And then the truth comes out. A nasty little monologue in his head. His own father hasn't even bothered to call since their big blowout. He gets a sick little thrill imagining his dad's face when he finds out that his forgotten son just snatched his woman. It's just a matter of time now. And in a final, chilling thought, he actually apologizes to poor, clueless Claire. Her biggest mistake was ever meeting his dad. As planned, Sunday arrives, all gray and gloomy. The stage is set at a picturesque park by the water. AJ is waiting under a tree, looking like the perfect, patient boyfriend from a K-drama. A soft voice calls his name, and he looks up to see Claire hustling toward him, looking like an absolute dream in a pink dress. She's all apologies for being late, asking if he's been waiting long, but our boy just smoothly waves it off, claiming he just gets there. And that's when he sees it, a legit, full-on picnic basket. And for a second, his brain-to-mouth filter just, poof, gone, and he blurts out that she's cute. She gets all shy, admitting she made sandwiches and hopes he likes them. I mean, with his master plan clicking into place, our boy AJ dials up the charm to 11, saying he's dying to try them as he hustles her to find the perfect stage for their little scene. They settle by the water, rolling out the classic checkered blanket. Textbook. While swan boats glide by, Claire lets out this happy sigh, going on about how peaceful it is. She even confesses that this is her solo chill spot. But our boy AJ? Yeah, he's not feeling the Zen garden vibe at all. He's internally bitching that watching boats is a snooze fest and they should have just seen a movie. But his whole cynical commentary hits a brick wall the second he actually turns to look times at her. And then, it hits him. She looks way, way happier than their last disaster of a date. The sun hits her hair just right, and her smile, it's genuinely blinding. And in that one, perfect moment, AJ finally gets it. He totally sees why his old man is so hung up on her. Her voice yanks him out of his little epiphany, and he turns to see her holding a sandwich right up to his mouth, offering him the first bite. AJ's entire system blue screens for a second. Is she actually trying to feed him? Like, for real? Not one to waste a golden opportunity. He smoothly catches her wrist, guiding the sandwich to his own mouth. He takes a bite, and holy crap. His eyes pop open. This thing is ridiculously good. Like, way better than he ever imagined. Claire just giggles, telling him to slow down, but my man is completely hooked, mumbling through a mouthful about how incredible it is. And that's when he sees it. A tiny little smudge of sauce on the back of her hand. She starts to apologize, but before she can even think napkin, AJ has already captured her hand. And in a move straight out of a spicy romance manhwa, he brings it to his lips and just licks it clean. Her face explodes in a blush so red it's practically glowing. She's just staring, completely stunned. As he pulls back with this wicked little smirk, AJ holds her hand up, showing her. All clean, he purrs. And you can practically hear her heart trying to beat its way out of her chest. She stammers something about not joking like that, her voice all breathy. But our boy isn't about to let her off the hook. He leans right back in, invading her personal space bubble, locks eyes with her, and playfully asks, "You shy?" And right when the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife? Boom. Thunder rolls in from out of nowhere. The sky just goes dark, and the heavens open up in a total downpour. Claire looks up, completely bewildered, muttering about the rain as huge drops start soaking their perfect little setup, instantly torpedoing their date. But as the sky rages, AJ doesn't even flinch. In fact, you can see this cold, calculating glint in his eyes as he shouts over the pounding rain. He suggests they find shelter. Oh, so casually mentioning his place is right around the corner. A few minutes later, there they are, dripping wet in the foyer of a massive, modern mansion, making puddles on the marble floor. Claire is totally floored, just gawking at the sheer scale of his house while the storm outside gets even crazier. Yeah, things just went from 0 to 100 real quick. AJ comes back to find her still standing there, all awkward, by the door. With that killer little smirk, he points out that she's basically frozen to the spot. He holds up a fluffy towel, a clear invitation to come deeper into his den so they can finally get dry. Yeah, right. That soggy picnic is ancient history, replaced by a whole new level of tension, a dangerously private tension. The rain is just hammering down on this slick, modern mansion, basically trapping my boy AJ inside with his intended target. He's all gentle, rubbing a towel through her soaked platinum blonde hair, his voice dropping low as he points out that she's soaked to the bone. She gets all flustered, apologizing and admitting she totally didn't see a monsoon on the forecast. And dude, this is his opening. AJ slips into his concerned gentleman role, insisting she needs to shower and change so she doesn't catch a cold, even offering up his own clothes smooth. But when she gets all shy and refuses, he decides it's go time. He calls her by her name, Claire. He lays it on thick, confessing that ever since they met, she's been living rent-free in his head. Then his hand starts a little expedition down her leg as he admits just how damn happy she makes him. Claire's eyes pop wide, and this crazy blush just floods her cheeks as AJ closes the gap. Claire. He lays it on thick, confessing that ever since they met, She's been living rent-free in his head, promising her he is 100% serious. In his head, he's thinking, I'm so close to the finish line. This ain't a game to him anymore, and he tightens his grip on her hand just to prove it. His voice drops to this low, hypnotic murmur as he finally pops the million-dollar question. Will you go out with me? Claire's bright blue eyes are just huge with shock. Her heart is probably trying to beat its way out of her chest. And right as the words are hanging in the air, a massive clap of thunder rips through the night, lighting up her totally conflicted face. She gently pulls her hand back and turns away with this heavy sigh. She thanks him for his honesty, but in Here It Comes tells him she's just not ready yet. Bro, the change is instantaneous. AJ's Prince Charming face just completely evaporates, replaced by this cold, hard stare. A bitter thought just zips through his mind. Of course, he's immediately convinced she's only hesitating because she's scared of losing the sweet, cushy lifestyle his old man provides. But just as quickly, that charming mask is slapped right back on. He sits down a little way from her and apologizes for coming on too strong. But Claire insists it's all her fault, explaining she's had some trash relationships before and is juggling 2 separate jobs, which makes her worry she won't have any time for him. AJ's brain, of course, twists her words, immediately assuming her other job is just servicing his dad. On the outside, though, he's the picture of saintly patience. He leans in closer, promising he'll wait for as long as it takes, if she'll just give him a single chance. His voice is pure honey, but man, his thoughts are straight up poison. He'll wait forever, as long as it means he gets his revenge. The storm finally passes, and a new day dawns all bright and clear. As the last few drops of water drip from the leaves, AJ is walking Claire out, clearly not ready for their little rendezvous to end. He smoothly offers her a ride, but she politely shoots him down, explaining she's already called a car. Dude, you can just see the disappointment hit him like a ton of bricks. He's sighing on the inside, thinking this whole night was a total bust. A truly terrible start to what was supposed to be their first date. But just as he's about to spiral into despair, Claire completely flips the script like a classic romance manhwa plot twist. Sensing his bummed-out mood, she quickly reassures him, suggesting they go out again soon. And not only that, she promises she'll cook for him herself. And then she drops the bomb. Even with the storm, she didn't think their date was bad at all. His head whips up, clinging to that promise like a lifeline, swearing the next time will be even better. He's practically glowing, soaking in what he thinks is a total win. Then she gets all shy and calls his name. And right when AJ's thinking he's hit the jackpot, Claire just completely fries his circuits. Leaning in, she gives him this soft, lightning-fast peck on the cheek, thanking him for being so patient and all. She even promises their third date will be the charm. But poof, the magic moment's over when her taxi rolls up. With one last, bubbly wave, she vanishes, leaving my boy AJ standing there looking like a lost puppy. He just stares after the car, completely zoned out. His fingers slowly find the warm spot she left on his cheek. And girl, that's when the nice guy mask shatters. I'm telling you, the whiplash is unreal. Suddenly, the happy little street scene dissolves into this dark, creepy vibe swirling all around him. A seriously twisted smirk crawls across his face, his eyes practically glowing with some psycho energy. Oh yeah. He's thinking next time is his for the taking. Next time, he's planning to unwrap his little present. This is where the story flips from our boy's creepy little fantasy, straight out of a dark romance manhwa, to the heart of his dad's empire, the shiny, sun-bleached tower of the Golda Grand Hotel. And inside a ridiculously plush office sits the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Pitch himself, totally lost in his work until a sharp knock cuts through the quiet. In walks this young blonde woman, her heels clicking like a metronome on the marble floor. Mr. Pitch makes some painfully awkward small talk about the rain, telling her not to catch a cold. He's laying on this fake dad voice, but it's got this gross, condescending vibe, saying something like, "Oh, you young girls are too healthy to get sick." She just flashes a 1,000-watt smile, playing right into his game and promising she'll do her absolute best for him. But then, bam, she flips the script, and the whole vibe in the room drops 20 degrees. She asks if his son is home yet. And just like that, the office goes from chilly to a full-on Arctic freeze. But the blonde, she doesn't back down. Her voice is solid steel as she tells Mr. Pitch it's high time he told his son the thing. The all-powerful chairman finally shows a crack in his armor, slumping in his chair like he's carrying the entire world. He actually admits he doesn't know what to do. AJ is still refusing to come home. But then, his massive ego kicks back in. He just waves her off, coldly saying AJ will come crawling back on his own. But right as she's at the door, he calls her name. His eyes get all sharp and calculating, sizing her up. He points out that she's been in a suspiciously good mood, always glued to her phone. He leans in, his voice dropping low and dripping with accusation, and he asks the one question she totally wasn't expecting. "Are you in love?" And honey? She freezes, Total deer in the headlights. A blush just explodes across her face. Oh, she is so busted. Completely blindsided, the poor girl turns to stone. A huge blush crawling up her neck as her big blue eyes go wide as dinner plates. She can't even form a word, but inside that head of hers? Oh, it's a whole different story, a happy, fuzzy little tune that basically screams, yes. Yeah, Daddy Pitch totally hit the bullseye with that one. Later that night, with the city glowing under a full moon, we're back in Mr. Pitch's cold, sterile corporate cage. He's still burning the midnight oil when his desk suddenly buzzes, the noise slicing through the quiet. He shoots it, an annoyed look, probably wondering who the hell is calling at this ridiculous hour. But his irritation just melts away, replaced by pure, jaw-on-the-floor shock. Because the name lighting up that screen is the absolute last one he ever thought he'd see. It's AJ. His son. And just like that, a phone screen cuts through the dark, flashing the one word my boy AJ loves to hate: son. You could practically see the annoyance flare in his eyes. He picks up, and his dad's voice just oozes that special brand of rich guy poison, asking if his little boy got lost and needs a map to get back home. But on the other end, AJ's a whole damn mood. He's sprawled out, shirt unbuttoned just enough to be a problem, looking like the cat that swallowed the canary. That killer smirk is playing on his lips as he shoots back, real smooth, that it looks like dear old dad is managing just fine without him. His dad, totally ignoring that little dig, just barks about when he's coming back. But oh, the tables have turned. My boy AJ is holding all the cards now. He just calmly says he'll be back when his business is done, dropping the bomb that he's back for senior year like he's just ordering a pizza. The old man scoffs, basically telling him to go play. 100% sure AJ can't survive without daddy's money. Big mistake. So AJ gives that knife one last, delicious twist, his voice dripping with fake sadness, pointing out how his dad never seems exactly thrilled to hear from him. Yeah, that did it. Pops's patience finally shatters, and he grunts that he's hanging up before slamming the phone down. Metaphorically, of course. The line goes dead, but AJ? Not even a flicker. He just scoffs. And this look, man. This ice-cold look of determination settles over his face. He puts the phone down, game face on. Flash forward to the next morning. He's rolling onto campus, letting out a massive yawn because, naturally, he'd been up all night. See, he was pulling an all-nighter video chatting with Clare, you know, the supposed target of this whole revenge scheme. And get this. A real, actual smile hits his lips. He's thinking back on it, mind blown that they could just talk for hours. Uh-oh, that's a bad sign, buddy. The game is already starting to play him. Things are getting way too real, way too fast. And right as he's deep in the Clare zone, some perky voice just shatters the whole vibe. AJ! And there she is. Jenny, a classmate, waving like she's flagging down a plane, and immediately falls in step with him. Her morning warm-up is unique, because before my man can even blink, she's got her phone out and, bam, she's live on TikTok. An ambush, I tell you. She's all smiles, telling her followers she's walking to school with him today, throwing him right under the social media bus. And of course, the chat goes nuts. Hearts flying everywhere, comments shipping them like they're the next big thing. Jenny just giggles and leans in close. Then she whispers that all her fans and half the school think they're an item, leaving AJ trapped in this cringy, digital spotlight he wanted no part of. With this hopeful little blush, she's like, maybe everyone ships us because, you know, and just lets the thought hang there. We really do look good together? AJ's gotta laugh. He's been gone a whole year and he's still being cast in their high school romance manhwa. But then Jenny's vibe shifts, her nosiness kicking into high gear as she asks if he's, you know, still talking to times her asterisk. That college girl. AJ, thinking on his feet, puts on his best not a big deal face, promising her he had his reasons but that it's over now. He won't be talking to her anymore. The relief that washes over Jenny's face is instant. She even admits he scared her for a second. But while she's all relieved, a flicker of something cold and hard crosses AJ's eyes. No way, he's thinking. I would never get serious with her. That lie just hangs in the air between them as they walk in. And hours later, my boy is still a million miles away, completely deaf to the teacher. The final bell rings, dismissing class. But AJ's already checked out, lost in a world of his own making. His stylus is just flying across his tablet when a voice snaps him out of it. It's that blonde dude from his class. The guy's curious why he jumps straight into drawing the second schools out. AJ looks up. All business, and says he can't afford to waste any time. Turns out there's a big webtoon contest in a few months. And as his classmate spots the fantasy characters on the screen, so, his buddy starts geeking out, rambling about how this new romance manhwa is pure fire, but his fanboy monologue grinds to a halt when he clocks that AJ's head is totally in the clouds. He calls AJ out for being a total space cadet in class, and even though AJ tries to blow it off, his friend leans in, all like, dude, spill it, I got you. Seizing the moment, AJ kicks back in his chair and asks for the 411 on where to take a girl to really knock her socks off. A sly little glint dancing in his eyes. All right, spill. What's she like? His friend asks, totally hyped. Claire. The name just hangs there for a second. A full-on record scratch moment. And boom, AJ's train of thought completely derails, his mind hijacked by visions of her again, with his friend's question just hanging there. My boy's mind just checks out, lost in a total Claire-centric daydream as he starts listing off her best bits, his voice going all soft and syrupy. He goes on about how she's into chill, quiet places, is a total goddess in the kitchen, and, oh yeah, she's an absolute knockout. But then, he starts digging deeper than just her looks, confessing that after actually talking to her, he found this ridiculously. So, his buddy starts geeking out, rambling about how this new romance manhwa is pure fire, but his fanboy monologue grinds to a halt when he clocks that AJ's head is totally in the clouds, sly, knowing grin spreading across his face. Oh, I see, he teases. Sounds to me like you're completely down bad for her, my friend. That comment lands like a bucket of ice water. AJ flinches hard, a furious blush crawling right up his neck. We're just talking. It's not like that, he blurts out, totally on the defensive. But his friend just flashes this patronizingly sweet, disbelieving smile, playfully going, okay, dude, whatever you say. And then, a brilliant, totally unoriginal idea sparks in his brain. That comment lands like a bucket of ice water. AJ flinches hard, a furious blush crawling right up his neck. Cute, shy thing going on, and realized she's super chill to be around and a total hustler, and his buddy's just soaking it all in. He actually goes through with it and calls her that night. And Claire is absolutely ecstatic, practically squealing with excitement through the phone. But AJ's just breaking a sweat, telling his friend to stop treating his life like some cheesy romance manhwa plot, despite his cringing, to bring snacks. Standing under the hot spray of the shower, AJ can't freaking believe his borrowed Hail Mary of an idea actually worked. His self-congratulation gets torpedoed when she eagerly asks if he wants to video chat right then and there. Thinking fast, AJ lets a smirk bleed into his voice. He tells Claire he just stepped out of the shower and, whoops, doesn't have a shirt on, then asks if she can handle that. Her knee-jerk reaction is to squawk at him to get dressed, but the flustered smile you just know is on her face totally betrays how much. She confesses that she's always been obsessed with stargazing, but was too scared to ask. Worried he'd think it was lame, and even offers. She's actually the one who suggests they hang up, leaving AJ momentarily baffled and sprawled out on his bed. He remembers they went even later the night before, a flash of disappointment shadowing his face. But her logic is pretty damn airtight. Gotta save their energy for the main event. Stargazing. Realizing she's right, he wishes her a good night. His hand. She's enjoying the show. Hours just evaporate as they chat, the vibe flowing effortlessly until she glances at the clock and sees it's already past 10. A low hum of excitement for his date with Claire vibrating through his whole body. A slow, calculating smirk creeps across his lips. As he stares at the ceiling, his mind already 3 moves ahead. His blue pajama top is hanging open, casually, framing a physique he's very much aware of, and a glint of pure determination hardens his gaze. He murmurs to himself that, tomorrow is the day, and he's got to get ready. But is he prepping for a simple night of looking at the stars? Or for the main event that comes after, of his little revenge fantasy? Who knows? But our boy is radiating pure, uncut confidence, ready to ride this crazy train all the way to the station, clutching the phone like a lifeline, buzzing with anticipation for their date. With the call over, AJ sinks back into his pillows. He strolls into a convenience store, completely ignoring the bubbly clerk and some girl practically drooling over him in the aisle. Man's on a mission. Sliding back into his ridiculously expensive sports car, he mentally ticks off his arsenal. And just like that, the very next day, AJ is already on the prowl. With a look in his eye that could melt steel, he dials his prey. He practically purrs into the phone, telling Claire he's coming to get her, so don't even think about the bus, as his thumb coaxes the engine into a deep, throaty growl. Water, Claire's favorite chocolate, and a little box of party favors designed to make the evening's main event pop. The hunt is on. In a flash, he's whisked Claire away to some gorgeous lakeside park, swapping the city glare for a sky dripping with diamonds. And of course, Claire is eating it up, sighing about how perfect the night is. Playing the part of the perfect gentleman, AJ just smiles that killer smile and finds a secluded spot to spread their blanket. Water, Claire's favorite chocolate, and a little box of party favors designed to make the evening's main event pop. He smoothly lists off fried fish and sweet and sour pork. And, record scratch. Playing the part of the perfect gentleman, AJ just smiles that killer smile and finds a secluded spot to spread their blanket. Water, Claire's favorite chocolate, and a little box of party favors designed to make the evening's main event pop. Once they're settled, she scoots a little closer, playfully asking what goodies he's hiding in that basket of his. He can't believe he made such a rookie mistake. Claire, mortified, starts apologizing. But AJ just gives her this wounded little smile, explaining that fish kinda churns up some nasty old memories. And just like that, we're pulled into a super dramatic flashback. This is some real romance manhwa level backstory, people. Picture it, a tiny lonely AJ, eating all by himself while his parents scream bloody murder in the other room. One night, a fishbone gets lodged in his throat, and he's so scared he can't even make a sound. All he can do is cry while his parents, totally lost in their own war, don't even see their kid is literally choking. The fight lasted all the way to the emergency room, which, by the way, was the last time he ever laid eyes on his mom. Back in the present, he drops the bomb he's been carrying for years. Wait, did our master manipulator just trip over his own feet? His panicked question cuts right through the romantic mood. She just rests her head on his shoulder. And with that one simple move, his entire evil scheme short-circuits. His own vulnerability completely backfired. And now his whole meticulously crafted game plan is just smoke in the wind. Maybe if I hadn't choked, they'd still be together. The confession just hangs there, knocking Claire completely silent. Then, in a total power move, Claire flips the whole script. She starts praising him, telling him she sees how incredibly hard he must have worked. She tells him he's not some spoiled rich kid. He's capable, brilliant, and completely different from anyone else. And that one comment, it hits him right where he lives. For the very first time, someone looked past the private jets and the trust fund and saw the actual effort underneath. She then offers up this incredibly sweet promise. If he ever feels that alone again, she'll be there to listen. But then, get this. Sky, a shooting star just rips across the darkness, and she, of course, squeals for him to make a wish. And just like that, the whole game has changed. AJ just watches her, this little smirk playing on his lips as she mashes her hands together, totally lost in her little moment. He's thinking she's so damn earnest, like a little kid begging Santa for a pony. When she finally flutters her eyes open, he breaks the spell. A quiet thank you escapes him, almost against his will, before he leans in and presses a soft, completely unplanned kiss to her forehead. Oh, but AJ isn't letting her off the hook that easy. He leans in, closing the distance, his voice dropping to that low, panty-melting hum, asking if her wish had anything to do with him. And boom, she's a flustered mess, admitting it was, but swearing she can't say another word. You can literally see the wicked glint spark in his eyes. He cups her chin, his voice a seductive whisper as he gives her a heart-stopping ultimatum. His curiosity is practically buzzing. But with a blush that could stop traffic, she plays coy, refusing to spill her secret wish. Her cheeks are on fire as she darts her eyes away, completely cornered by his audacious power move. With a sigh that's pure surrender, she whispers that it looks like he's left her with no choice. Oh, honey, that was the only invitation our boy needed. Without a single hesitation, AJ erases the space between them, his fingers gently tilting her chin up to meet his smoldering gaze. And then he dives in, capturing her lips in a kiss that sets off a fireworks show in the dark. The whole world just melts away, leaving just the two of them in their own little bubble. He pulls back just an inch, a look of pure, delicious triumph in his eyes. Still breathless and scrambled, she tries to get some control back, stammering that this means she's off the hook about the wish, right? But AJ's smug, victorious smirk says it all. The game isn't over, sweetie. It's just getting good. The kiss immediately deepens, turning up the heat from a simmer to a full boil, and for a second, they're both completely gone. A soft little moan escapes her as her hand instinctively balls up the fabric of his shirt. But just as fast as the fire started, reality comes crashing back in. She shoves him back, her chest heaving as she stammers for him to wait, asking what the hell is wrong. Glancing around in a full-blown panic, she points out the obvious. It would be a complete disaster if anyone saw them together, but AJ just scoffs, turning his gaze up to the stars with this infuriatingly cool vibe, like he doesn't have a care in the world. He literally waves it off, like, babe, who cares? It's just a kiss. But right when my girl Claire is about to read him the riot act, his whole energy just does a complete 180. He spins back around, and honey, his eyes are locked on her like a heat-seeking missile. Claire, he rumbles, and that voice is suddenly all gravel and sin. And of course, she looks up, totally blindsided. He invades her personal space, getting close enough to deliver the final knockout punch, a confession that just detonates the whole game. I like you. And boom. My girl is just frozen, completely speechless from that bombshell. Claire can only stare back at him, her heart trying to pound its way out of her ribcage. The whole revenge plot, the little games, poof, gone. Evaporated into thin air, leaving nothing but the raw, naked truth hanging in the air between them. A little puff of air escapes her lips, and she whispers that yeah, she's really into him too. Like this isn't some high school crush. But the second he sees her genuine heart on her sleeve reaction, AJ suddenly yanks himself back like he just touched a hot stove. A shadow of guilt flashes across his face, and he starts tripping over his words, apologizing, saying they're not even a thing yet, and how he totally jumped the gun. But Claire, my girl, shuts that down immediately, insisting it wasn't on him. She was the one who lit the fuse. And with this sudden surge of courage, like she's the main character in her own romance manhwa, she looks him dead in the eye and lays it all out she likes him. A lot. And you can just see this slow, satisfied smile bloom across his face. And just like that, a grin spreads across AJ's face, washing away all the drama. He pops the one question that changes the whole game. So, should we make this a thing? His fingers gently comb through her hair, and you can practically feel the electricity crackle as she melts into him, her heart thumping like a drum solo against her ribs. One little word, full of all that pent-up hope, slips past Claire's lips, a word that has her whole body buzzing with excitement. Okay. And as the wind whispers around them, she realizes it's suddenly kinda cold. But our boy AJ? He sees this as a golden opportunity, not a problem. He leans in, his voice dropping to this low, husky hum that sends a whole new set of tingles down her spine. And trust me, it has nothing to do with the temperature. Sporting a smirk so confident it could probably melt glaciers, he locks eyes with her and makes his play. He suggests they move the stargazing party to someplace a little more intimate. Like, say, his place. Oh yeah. My man is not wasting a single damn second. He's trying to take this from the PG-rated opening credits to the main event. Leaning in, his voice a silky, suggestive whisper. AJ goes for the kill. With that wicked little smirk dancing on his lips, he drops the most classic line in the book, asking if she wants to come over to watch the stars. I mean, really? The invitation just hangs there, and honey, she is not prepared. Her eyes go wide in shock as she sputters his own words back at him, like her brain can't compute what he just suggested. A blush hotter than a $2 pistol creeps up her neck, and she is a total mess. She quickly starts backpedaling, insisting they should let things, happen naturally. She's basically admitting she's not ready to unlock that achievement just yet. Completely overwhelmed, she just buries her face in his chest. But her adorable, flustered shutdown? It just seems to entertain him, and this soft, knowing little laugh rumbles out of him. Her eyes go wide in shock as she sputters his own words back at him, like her brain can't compute what he just suggested. A blush hotter than a $2 pistol creeps up her neck, telling her not to read too much into his 5-alarm fire invitation. He plays it off with a charming excuse, swearing he was just worried she'd catch a cold in the chilly night air. Sewer he was. He suggests they just watch the stars for a little bit longer before he takes her back to her dorm. She shyly agrees, and that's all the opening he needs. In one slick move, he slides his arms around her from behind, pulling her back flush against his chest. He murmurs that it's warmer this way, leaving her a blushing, stuttering puddle. But later that night, the mask comes off. Sprawled on his bed, AJ lets out a sigh of pure frustration. He can't believe he struck out again. He really thought she was going to be an easy win. Still, he's not throwing in the towel. They're official now, and in his mind, it's just a countdown until he gets another shot at the title. The scene cuts to a slick, cherry red sports car, giving us a little peek into the high-roller lifestyle AJ is getting used to. Inside, AJ and his father are deep in conversation. Undeniable heat. Every little touch, every stolen glance, is just cranking up the thermostat in this scene straight from a romance manhwa. A compliment on her kissing technique. His voice dripping with this possessive, "you're mine" kind of pride. She turns 50 shades of red, trying to play it cool and proper, but AJ's ego is bulletproof. He just brushes off her worries about being seen, basically saying, "Babe, we're a couple. This is what couples do." Then he admits he's holding himself back, hinting at a whole other level of desire he's keeping on a leash. For now. So yeah, the story's telling us they're official, setting us up for the next spicy chapter. And here we go. The plot thickens as our boy AJ continues his little conquest, still laser-focused on getting his prize. He's got that sharp, all-knowing smirk plastered on his face. AJ just smoothly agrees to her whole, let's let things happen naturally thing, basically turning her own words into a weapon for his little game of bedroom bingo. Then he pulls the classic, let's get out of the cold move, steering her toward some humble little roadside joint for a bite. You could tell she was completely thrown by the low-key choice. But just as they're about to walk in, his phone buzzes, and honey, the whole vibe just dies. The name Dad is practically glowing with menace on the screen, and AJ answers with an eye roll you could hear through the phone. But that little rebellious streak of his vanishes real quick. The defiance in his voice just melts away as the conversation gets heavy. His whole face shifts to this look of, actual grudging concern when he finds out his old man isn't feeling so hot, and he ends the call with this huge, put-upon sigh. Well, looks like playtime just got a rain check. The call ends, and bam, the entire date flips a 180. With a face like thunder, AJ starts apologizing. He explains they've got to ditch the greasy spoon because of some sudden family emergency. Before she can even really compute what's happening, he's grabbing her hand, his mind already 5 steps ahead, realizing they're going to need a major wardrobe change for their new destination. And oh honey, did he deliver on that upgrade? They roll up to this massive, glittering skyscraper, one of his family's hotels. Apparently, a quick change later, and poof, no more casual Friday. He's in a suit so sharp it could cut glass, and she's been poured into a breathtakingly elegant white dress. As they walk up to the hostess, the staff's immediate fawning makes it painfully obvious this is his turf. The call ends, and bam, the entire date flips a 180. With a face like thunder, AJ starts apologizing. As they walk up to the hostess, the staff's immediate fawning makes it painfully obvious this is his turf. He apologizes again for the chaos, explaining he has to fill in for his dad at some critical dinner meeting. A meeting with the shareholders, no less. She tries to play it cool, but you know her mind is racing. Realizing his dad must be an absolute corporate titan. Not wanting to just abandon his pretty new toy, AJ starts leading her toward a private lounge. He's telling her to wait for him, but before he can even get the whole sentence out, they're cut off by a voice as sharp as a stiletto heel. A woman named Jenny materializes, sizing Claire up with a look that could freeze hell over. She drips sarcasm, asking if this is his girlfriend, before introducing herself as a good friend. Yeah, and I'm the Queen of England. Then she latches onto his arm, all but dragging him away, reminding him that everyone's waiting for the precious chairman's son to make his grand entrance. And just like that, AJ gets yanked away, leaving a totally shell-shocked Claire standing all alone in a room that costs more than her car. Left high and dry, my girl's composure just completely shatters. Standing there by herself in that ridiculously fancy lounge, the elegant dress AJ picked out suddenly feels like a cheap costume she has no right to be in. This world of his is just too shiny, too rich. And then the awful truth hits her like a slap in the face. She doesn't belong here. Her brain immediately serves up an image of Jenny, who fits next to the chairman's son like a perfectly matched set. She's seen them on his social media, looking like the lead couple in some spicy romance manhwa. And that comparison? Absolutely soul-crushing. That's when the horrible little thought starts to take root. What if she's not the main character in this story? What if she's just a fun little distraction for him? Unable to stop the tears, she bolts for the restroom, desperate for a place to fall apart. But there's no hiding. The whispers follow her as 2 women start gossiping about AJ's latest plaything, mysterious new girl. And let me tell you, the whispers in that bathroom were sharper than a surgeon's scalpel, confirming every single one of Claire's deepest, darkest fears. These witches were just talking trash out in the open, comparing her to classy Jenny, and basically deciding that AJ and Jenny were the real endgame. I mean, the sheer casual cruelty of it was a total gut punch, leaving my girl feeling like a crumpled-up napkin. A whole 2 agonizing hours later, the sound of someone walking with a purpose echoes through the empty lounge. It's AJ. Of course. He finds her sitting all by herself and so gently strokes her hair, murmuring that the marathon meeting is finally done. His gaze lands on the totally empty table, and he asks if she got something to eat, but she's too mortified to admit the harpies killed her appetite, so she lies, claiming she had some fried rice. And he, totally clueless for now, just comments that she must really be obsessed with the stuff. He offers her a ride home, and as they go to leave, Claire just stops dead in her tracks, digging her heels into the floor like an anchor. Nope. She wasn't moving an inch. AJ immediately senses something's up, and he turns back, his voice dropping to that soft, concerned tone, asking what's wrong. Staring at the floor like it holds all the answers, Claire finally lets all that poison out. She mumbles that she thinks he and Jenny just make more sense together, and she can't figure out why he even bothered with her, before quickly apologizing for being crazy. But for AJ, it's like a light bulb just exploded in his brain. This is why she was so quiet. This is why she lied about eating. And in one smooth, predatory move, he closes the space between them, backing her up against the bar until her hands are splayed against his chest just to keep her balance. And then he drops the bomb. He knew she hadn't eaten. Says he was so pissed the staff ignored her that he was about to get every single one of them fired. Then, locking his eyes on hers, he just completely bulldozes her fears about Jenny. He makes it crystal clear. He's not interested in anyone else. It's only her. And then, honey, he loosens his tie, and his gaze is practically scorching as he finally spills the simple, devastating truth. It's because I like you. And girl, that confession just hangs in the air, sizzling, and Claire just gasps, this insane blush flooding her cheeks. Every ounce of insecurity? Gone. Just vaporized in a second, replaced by pure head-spinning joy. A smile so bright it could power a city finally breaks through, and she breathes out that she likes him a lot, too. And honestly, that was all the green light my man needed. In a move straight out of a steamy romance manhwa, he closes that last bit of distance, claiming her mouth in a kiss that says more than a novel ever could. But just as they come up for air, reality comes crashing back down. And you can see this flash of panic. A flash of panic crosses Claire's face, and she puts a hand on his chest, a soft little barrier as she whispers, "They really shouldn't be here." AJ, completely unfazed, just purrs that the coast is clear, begging for just a few more minutes of her private attention. Their little moment, however, is getting a 1-star review. From a shadowy doorway, a woman with emerald fire eyes is watching them, a silent, vicious storm brewing in her stare. The world just dissolved into a blur as AJ hit the floor, his hand weakly slapping around for his phone before he was completely swallowed by a wave of exhaustion. His last thought was a hazy, "Crap, it's 7 o'clock. Fast forward 1 year later, and sunlight is pouring into some generic, bustling high school classroom. A ridiculously cheerful blonde kid practically bounces over to AJ's desk, vibrating like he just mainlined a gallon of coffee. He's all hyped up, asking AJ if he's free for the movies tomorrow. When AJ casually mentions he's got plans with a certain someone named Claire, his buddy's eyes light up, telling him to just bring her along for the ride. With a hopeful, goofy grin, he dangles the bait that another girl, Jenny, would totally go if AJ was there. And you can just see the gears turning as a slow, predatory smirk plays on AJ's lips. He agrees to ask Claire, musing out loud that they haven't exactly christened a movie theater together yet. All with this cool, calculated look on his face. So, get this. AJ barely glances up from his phone, gives his boy Chio the nod, and just like that, confirms my girl Claire is on her way. And Chio? His face lit up like a damn Christmas tree. The dude practically sings that he'll see them tomorrow. Fast forward to the next day, and there's Claire, perched on a bench in this ridiculously huge, sun-drenched mall, looking like a lost puppy. She's wringing her hands, totally in her head, praying she doesn't bomb the Meet the Friends test. Her whole internal monologue is just a loop of anxiety until footsteps. A super friendly voice cuts through the noise, asking if she's Claire. She looks up, and there's this guy, practically radiating sunshine. He introduces himself as Chio, AJ's buddy, and immediately starts laying it on thick about how pretty she is. I gotta admit, the boy's got game. She instantly relaxed. So Claire, playing it cool, mentions she heard he's into drawing. And bam! This kid's eyes sparkle and he's proudly puffing out his chest, declaring his grand ambition is to become a top-tier webtoon artist. Next thing you know, they're geeking out over their favorite fantasy romance manhwa series, clicking like they've known each other for years. Honestly, Claire was shocked at how easy he was to talk to. So, of course, Chio, blushing like a virgin on prom night, decides to shoot his shot and asks if she'll be the muse for his main character. You could just see it on his face. He thought he'd found his goddess the second he laid eyes on her. But before poor, flustered Claire can even string a sentence together, the sound of sharp, angry footsteps. Enter stage left, AJ, with Jenny in tow. His eyes are practically burning holes into them as he announces, all cool and detached, that he was just giving times their friend times a ride. Total ice out for Chio. Then he just grabs Claire's hand, like she's his property, and declares they're getting a bite to eat. He just yanks her away before the movie, leaving Chio and Jenny standing there like a couple of rejected mannequins. Awkward. So, cut to the restaurant. Jenny, acting all casual, chirps about how AJ must be having an affair with the steak, since he orders it every single time. AJ, meanwhile, is lost in his own little meat and potatoes world. He just grunts that it's delicious. And then Jenny, with this way too familiar vibe, starts nagging him about picking the greens off his plate. You know, like a wife. Watching their whole cozy, domestic routine, my girl Claire felt like she was crashing their private party. She just shrinks into her seat, figuring it's best to stay invisible. That little bubble of misery pops when Jenny suddenly pivots, points a perfectly manicured finger at her, and asks in this sickly sweet voice if she's feeling okay because she's times quiet. Totally sideswiped, Claire practically launches out of her chair, mumbling something about the restroom. The second she's alone, she just lets out this huge, shaky breath. She's literally telling her reflection that this girl Jenny turns her into a nervous wreck. Just her, the cold tiles, and a whole wrestling match going on in her head. And she finally admits it to herself. Ever since she met Jenny, it's been like a constant, low-key buzzing under her skin. The girl just gets to her. She tries to pull herself together, remembering some friend's advice about her overthinking everything. She even tries to crack a smile. But her little solo pep talk is about to get ambushed. Because, of course, that's when Jenny saunters in, face like a stone mask. No small talk, no bullshit. She just cuts right to the chase. "There's something you need to know," she says. Then, with the kind of directness that could freeze hell over, she tells Claire it'd be better for everyone if she just dumped AJ. Sooner rather than later. Then she leans in, all conspiratorial, and drops the freaking nuke, revealing that AJ is actually, whatever that unspoken bomb was, it completely shattered my girl. She just collapses into a stall, and you can just hear these quiet, broken sobs. Meanwhile, back with the boys, Chio is going full-on serious mode. He gets right in AJ's face, demanding to know if Clare is just some game to him. He's like, "Look, I don't know what your endgame is here, man. But as your friend, I gotta give you a heads up." Meanwhile, back with the boys, Chio is going full-on serious mode. He gets right in AJ's face, demanding to know if Clare is just some game to him. AJ's whole face just melts when he sees Clare. He starts going on about perfect timing and how worried he was, but her face? It's a complete tragedy mask. She just deadpans that she's not feeling it and she's going home. AJ, bless his panicked little heart, grabs her arm, insisting he'll drive her. But she yanks her arm back like he burned her, snapping that she can handle it herself. And before he can even process the rejection, Jenny, clamped onto his other arm like a designer barnacle, chirping about how the movie was starting. My boy AJ got dragged into the theater, but honey, he was just a meat puppet at this point. His brain was on a completely different channel, stuck on a replay of Claire's face, absolutely shattered. He couldn't even hear Jenny's voice over the static in his head, which was probably for the best, because here came Jenny and Cho, armed with tickets and a bucket of popcorn, ready for date night. AJ was practically shoved into a seat. My man sat there looking like a statue while Jenny played the world's most annoying hostess. She leaned over to Cho, flashing a smile so sweet it could give you a cavity, and purred about how long it had been. But right as the theater went dark, AJ shot up out of his seat like he'd been electrocuted. Game over. His patients had officially left the building, leaving behind a stunned Jenny and a sputtering Cho who nearly inhaled his popcorn, yelling after him. Into the dark. You could hear his shoes hitting the floor, a frantic beat matching his thoughts. He knew Clare had to be close, but every call went straight to voicemail. "She's not picking up," he grumbled, pure frustration boiling over. And then, like a spotlight hit her, he saw a silhouette that just screamed, "Clare." Yep, that was his girl. As he got closer, he saw her shoulders slumped, phone gripped in her hand like a lifeline. He knew, right then, he couldn't just walk away. "Mom, you almost ruined my chance to stay in school," she sobbed into the phone, her crazy blue eyes shimmering with tears. "Couldn't. You have waited until I graduated?" That was it for AJ. His control just shattered. "Clare," he boomed, and she jumped like he'd fired a gun. "What are you doing here? I thought you were at the movies?" AJ's eyes were lasers, burning right through her. "I was worried. My girlfriend's not feeling good. Of course I'm gonna care." But Claire's voice, man, it was this tiny, sharp whisper. "Worried about your girlfriend, are you? Do you even mean that?" You could see the shock in AJ's wild, pinkish eyes. He was totally blindsided, his voice cracking as he said her name. He was practically begging to know what was wrong, insisting they talk, asking what he'd done. And Claire just gave him this brittle little smile that didn't reach her eyes at all. She told him the show was over. He could stop pretending. She knew his whole nice guy act was a lie, and frankly, she was tired of the reruns. "Let's break up," she said. Just like that. Dropped the whole "we're from different worlds" line like something out of a tragic romance manhwa, and started to walk away. AJ just stood there, watching her go. Then it hit him like a ton of bricks. How the hell does she know? What exactly did she hear? His mind instantly rewound to when she came back. From the bathroom. Oh, hell no. He wasn't letting her walk away like this. Before he even knew it, his feet were moving, his hand shooting out and grabbing her arm. He stopped her dead in her tracks. "Claire, just listen to me," he pleaded, desperation all over his face. But she yanked her arm away so hard you could almost hear the rejection. He was left standing there as she took off again. Tears were just pouring down her face now, her pain finally erupting as she spun around, demanding to know what else there was to even say. Her voice was just shredded with misery, insisting that whatever excuse he had, it was way too late. AJ just took it all in, letting her pain wash over him before dropping a truth bomb of his own. He admitted it, her worst nightmare was true. At the beginning, he was just messing with her. A game. But then his whole vibe changed, his voice getting raw as you could practically see the highlight reel of their moments together, flashing behind his eyes. He confessed that somewhere along the line, without him even noticing, the game became real. He'd fallen for her. He argued that if it was all just an act, he never would have let himself get in this deep. Then he locked eyes with her, totally dismissing her doubts, telling her that the whole different worlds thing was a total cop-out, and she knew it. He took her hand, pressing it gently against his heart, his voice dropping to this low, urgent murmur, begging her to just breathe and listen to him. And then, total vulnerability. My dude admitted he screwed up, big time. He was literally begging her for one more chance, just one shot to make it right. He leaned in close, That intense gaze of his promising her that from this moment on, it was just them, no one else. This out of the blue, heart on his sleeve confession totally short-circuited my girl Claire, leaving her stuttering that she needed a minute to process. AJ, slick as ever, jumped on the moment and offered her a ride home. And with a barely there whatever, she finally gave in and walked off with him. Cut to our leading man, AJ, collapsing onto a couch and breathing a sigh so heavy it could have knocked over a lamp. He was reflecting on how damn close he came to fumbling the bag with Claire. His mind was replaying that heart-stopping moment she almost bounced, a shock that left his brain completely blank. And then, a grim look of pure determination cemented itself on his face. Oh yeah, he knew it was time to kick this whole operation into high gear. Elsewhere, Claire's on the phone, spilling all the fresh tea to her friends. One of them, Somi, literally shrieks, absolutely floored. They almost broke up, insisting AJ is completely obsessed with her. Then she wails, demanding to know how far they've actually gone. A flustered Claire admits they've only hugged and had a moment, causing her friend to roast her for not being conquered yet. Then, the second, much saner friend cuts in, advising that as adults, they just need to be, prepared. She tells a mortified Claire not to sweat it, that AJ must be serious. Still reeling from her friend's totally shameless comments about AJ's amazing fallen form, a beet-red Claire just slams the end call button and faceplants onto her bed. She's agonizing over her genius idea to go to his place for a movie, her mind racing with all the ways this could go sideways. Later, they're on his couch, and the air is so thick with unspoken electricity you could hear it crackle. AJ smoothly pulls her into his side, his voice a low, chest-rumbling purr as he thanks his little cutie for coming over. He's gently stroking her hair, and just as she's about to melt into a puddle, he abruptly pulls away, stammering something about getting drinks, leaving her completely and utterly bewildered. Still flustered, Claire follows him to the kitchen, announcing she'll grab some sodas. Her mind is a chaotic mess as she yanks a bottle from the fridge, desperately trying to put a leash on her racing thoughts. She's literally telling herself to calm down, that they're just watching a movie. But as she rounds the corner, she slams right into AJ's chest. This is a scene straight out of a classic romance manhwa, I swear. The bottle launches from her grip, hits the floor, and detonates in a sticky explosion of fizz that coats both of them. Mortified, she's apologizing a mile a minute, but AJ just calmly takes the blame. Looking at the mess, he grins, joking that she'd better shower quick before she attracts an army of ants. Standing under the shower's hot spray, her cheeks were burning with a level of embarrassment I didn't think was humanly possible. She couldn't believe she'd been so out of it, all because she was stuck replaying her friend Somi's totally scandalous advice on a loop in her head. Then, a sudden sound from outside the frosted glass door made her freeze solid. Peeking out, her eyes went wide. There stood AJ, a towel slung so low on his hips it was defying gravity, a wicked little smirk playing on his lips. He leaned in, his voice a low, teasing growl, asking if she wanted to conserve water. Her mind just went blank. Poof, gone. Seeing her total system crash, he offered to wait outside, but with a shaky breath, she basically surrendered, telling him to just come in. And so, under the cascade of hot water, AJ pulled her flush against his body, his arms wrapping around her waist like he was never letting go. He leaned in close, his voice a low, possessive murmur right against her ear, as he confessed his love for his little cutie. A blush so deep it was probably a fire hazard spread across her cheeks. The sheer closeness was overwhelming, yet she just melted into his hold. This can't be real, she whispered, saying it felt like a dream, that she never in a million years imagined they could actually be together like this. A dangerous smirk played on AJ's lips when he heard her little confession. He turned her to face him, asking if she was ready to make that dream a reality. The camera then pans up to the vibrant canvas of the night sky, dotted with twinkling stars. And you know exactly what that means. Yielded to the soft, ethereal glow of dawn. AJ lay awake, his raspberry pink eyes sharp and restless beneath the soft light of morning. Every inch of him hummed with an unfamiliar tension, a storm brewing beneath the surface. He shifted slightly, a low thrum of thought vibrating through him, his gaze fixing on Claire. Her like old lace hair fanned around her, utterly serene in her deep slumber. She's sleeping so soundly, he mused, the words a silent whisper in the stillness. This unexpected closeness, this quiet closeness, was shattering his carefully constructed facade of revenge, demanding something more, something real. A memory of their unbridled passion from the night before flashed through AJ's mind, and he understood her deep, exhausted sleep. But as he watched her, his sharp eyes held none of the triumph he'd expected from his revenge. Instead, a profound sorrow settled over him. An unspoken apology echoed in his thoughts. I'm sorry, Claire. His hand gently caressed her hair, a final tender gesture. The devastating reality crashed down on him. This was it. This was probably the last time they would ever see each other. Her bare feet padded softly down the stairs as she found AJ waiting, immediately questioning why he hadn't woken her. He turned, now dressed in a sharp black jacket, and coolly apologized, explaining he'd taken a while to change. He then announced he would walk her back to her dorm, an offer that left her completely baffled. After a moment of confused hesitation, now dressed in a sharp black jacket, and coolly apologized, explaining he'd taken a while to change, she agreed. The ride in his sleek sports car was thick with an unnerving silence. Glancing at his stoic profile, she began to panic. Outside the towering hotel, AJ turned to Claire, his voice a low, unexpected rumble. "Hey, Claire, there's something I want to ask you." She blinked, confused, her eyes wide. A spark ignited as his hand decisively landed on her leg, commanding her attention. He paused, then dropped the explosive device. "Could you stop working part-time jobs? I can take care of everything." "Will you move in with me?" Claire gasped, her electric blue eyes welling up. "AJ," she whispered, clutching his hand, a rush of relief flooding her. "Thank you for asking me to live with you," she finally managed, a joyous, tear-filled smile spreading across her face. "You were so quiet. I thought something was wrong." Yet, her practical nature surfaced. "Moving in is fine, but I don't want to trouble you with money." AJ just watched her, the weight of his own sudden, staggering decision hanging heavy. As they sat in the sleek red car, she nervously laid out her plans, asking if it was okay to keep working for another year, at least until her senior internship. A hopeful, gentle smile touched her lips as she awaited his answer. But AJ's response was a heavy, defeated sigh. His mind twisted her innocent words into a devastating conclusion. She was still thinking about a life connected to his father. He bitterly thought to himself that in the end, she still chose that old man. What was he even hoping for? His resolve hardened. "In that case," he began, his voice chillingly calm, "let's break up." The words dropped into the silence, shattering her world. Her eyes went wide in utter disbelief, unable to process what he just said as she stammered, asking what he could possibly mean, her fingers nervously intertwined, folded in her lap. Her voice was just this tiny, broken whisper, asking if she messed up somehow. And AJ, with those moody, raspberry-pink eyes of his, finally tears his gaze from the road. He tells her she played her part perfectly, except for one tiny little detail. He crosses his arms, building this wall between them, and then, oh so slowly, he drops the other shoe. His eyes narrow, practically shooting daggers at her, demanding to know why she's been getting all cozy with his time's father asterisk. Eunice's electric blue eyes just about pop out of her head, her jaw hitting the floor in total shock. She fires back that she's never even laid eyes on the man, telling him he's got the story completely twisted. AJ's face gets all stormy, like a circuit shorted in his pretty boy brain, before he just buries his face in his hands. He mumbles something like, "misunderstanding," but then he looks up, and this nasty, predatory glint flashes in his eyes. "Is that so?" And boom. Her hands fly to her mouth, a little gasp escaping as the whole horrible truth just slams into her. His dad was Mr. Pitch. AJ cocks his head, a cruel little smirk twisting his lips. "So, the gears are finally turning. Huh?" His eyes. The bomb dropped. A confession so cold it could freeze hell over. "I only pretended to like you to get back at my dad for screwing you." He snaps his gaze back to her, just twisting the knife. "You didn't actually think I dated you because I times you, did you?" Eunice physically recoils, her hand flying to her chest. "But there's nothing going on between me and Mr. Pitch," she pleads. AJ just scoffs. "Oh, really?" Then, a flash of a memory, a fat wad of cash. His voice cuts through the tension. "Then why would my dad be handing you so much cash? Why the secret meetings? Why would a college student like you be all alone with my father?" Her eyes, swimming with tears, lock onto his. "If I've got it all wrong, then explain it to me." A gut-wrenching sob just rips out of her, and her shoulders slump in defeat. She whispers, "What's the use? You're not going to believe me." Anyway, a fresh wave of tears rolls down her cheeks. "I was so stupid, believing every single word you said. I actually thought you liked me." A bitter, harsh reality sets in. Asterisk. "Okay, I get it now. This whole thing. It was all just one big fat lie." Asterisk. Just one tear slips from her electric blue eye as the weight of it all crashes down. And wouldn't you know it, her friend Jenny had been right all along. She turns without another word and just walks away, every step a nail in the coffin of her heart. From the driver's seat of his stupidly expensive sports car, AJ just watches her go, his jaw clenched so tight you could crack a walnut on it, a whole hurricane of emotions swirling inside him like some twisted romance manhwa plot. He can't take it, and slams his foot on the accelerator, the car screaming out of the parking lot. Later that night, your girl Jenny finally finds the smoking gun she was digging for on her phone. A forgotten picture that tells the whole damn story. The day she saw AJ's father with Times woman. She'd snapped a photo of their shady little meeting, a secret she'd meant to ask AJ about but completely forgot. Meanwhile, consumed by a twisting suspicion of her own, the father's new arm candy was hunched over her own phone, the screen's glow making her look extra sinister. She was grappling with a seriously twisted thought, that Eunice was trying to sink her claws into both AJ Times and Times his father lives. But getting info online was like trying to find a needle in a digital haystack, a totally infuriating goose chase. Just then, her phone buzzed, yanking her out of her deep dive. "Hey, AJ," she answered, her tone already loaded with accusation. "I was literally just about to call you." AJ's voice came back, all casual. "What's up?" Oh, she was not having it, immediately plowing over his fake innocence. "And no, I didn't spill a single bean to Claire that day. But for real, ditching me at the theater like that was a world-class jerk move." And then, a heavy, chilling silence. What he said next made her bolt upright in bed, her eyes blown wide with the kind of plot twist you only see in the most messed-up romance manhwa. Total, jaw-on-the-floor shock. "What?" Her hand shot to her mouth, the phone shaking like a leaf as her entire universe just spun off its axis. "You and her? You broke up." And those words, man, they were like a sucker punch to the gut, twisting every single thing she thought was real. Meanwhile, my boy AJ was dragging his sorry self onto campus, looking like a ghost haunting his own personal tragedy. A sudden tap on his shoulder made him jump, and his raspberry eyes snapped wide to see Jenny's super worried face staring back. "Oh my God, you look like hell," she breathed, genuine concern practically dripping from her. "Did you get, any sleep last night?" A dry, empty laugh scraped its way out of him. "Is it that obvious?" Jenny basically screeched. "Yeah, dude. It is." The name Clare, just a raw, open wound at this point, had been his personal torturer all night, along with the messed-up truth about his dad's little game and his own epic screw-up just burning a hole in his chest. "AJ, come on, let's get to class," Jenny urged, tugging on his arm. "People are literally starting to stare and whisper." And those words, man, they were like a sucker punch to the gut, twisting every single thing she thought was real. Meanwhile, my boy AJ was dragging his sorry self onto campus. A couple of classmates started snickering about their usual lovey-dovey morning routine, a sound Jenny just waved off. "It's just how we mess around," she insisted, glancing at AJ for backup. But his raspberry eyes were still lost in space, his soul completely drowning in a hurricane of regret. AJ yanked his hand away from hers like he'd been burned a total, brutal rejection. Two girls watched him stalk off, one of them calling after him, "Yeah, maybe don't do that anymore." Inside the classroom, some teachers started announcing a new, last-minute policy. "All right, listen up, all you third years. We're moving up your graduation exams, so you can prep for college entrance. We'll have some university students here this afternoon, so you can grill them with questions." As the clock ticked closer to noon, AJ, who was clearly on another planet, just shot up from his seat. "Yo, AJ, where you going?" some guy asked. "Home," he bit out. The guy insisted he stick around for the college presentation. AJ, however, just sliced him off, his voice totally dead. "I already know where I'm going." A seriously complicated look flashed across the dude's face as he watched him leave. Letting out a sigh that felt like it weighed a ton, AJ decided he was done for the day. The revenge plot he'd cooked up was officially over, but the win felt totally hollow, leaving this nasty, empty ache right in his gut. And as he was wondering about this crappy feeling, his phone buzzed. An incoming call. "Dad." He answered, his voice as flat as a board. But whatever his old man said on the other end sent a lightning bolt straight through him. Just as the sky opened up and rain started streaking down his face, the news just completely shattered him. His raspberry eyes blew wide with pure disbelief. A single, choked-out word forcing its way past his lips. "What?" And cue the dramatic cut to a big, intimidating hospital building, because of course, the unspoken answer was just hanging there, thick and heavy. In the sterile hush of a hospital room, AJ was just sitting there next to his dad's bed. His father, looking like he'd aged 10 years, asked if he'd eaten, but AJ just told him to worry about himself for once. Then he finds out this illness isn't some new thing. Nope. It's been a problem for a while. Another little secret his dad conveniently kept tucked away. Pissed off, AJ demanded to know why the hell he was kept in the dark. Then his whole vibe shifted, as he asked about the really pretty college girl. His father, looking confused, figured out he meant Claire, before dropping this little bombshell like it was nothing. "Oh, her? She quit yesterday." And boom. The words just detonated in that quiet room. AJ's raspberry eyes went wide with shock as he shot to his feet, sending the stool clattering to the damn floor. "Wait!" he yelled, his voice shaking like crazy. "Wasn't she your new girlfriend?" His dad just stared back at him, completely baffled, and scoffed that he was a little too busy trying not to die to be dating. He then revealed Claire was just a helper he hired after a fall. And just like that, the entire, elaborate foundation of AJ's grand revenge plot crumbled into dust. AJ's father just smirked, a real killer of a look. "Weren't you the one dating Claire? Why in the world would I steal my own son's girlfriend?" And bam, AJ's raspberry eyes went wide as saucers. "Huh?" He practically choked on the word. "Wait, Dad. How? How did you know?" he sputtered, panic flashing across his face. His father's gaze just got sharper. "I didn't, at first." The old man coolly explained how Claire, his helper, had accidentally left her phone behind. And oh, the delicious, damning truth that spilled right out. He'd seen AJ's pathetic, desperate messages. All those "I miss you so much" texts. After a little chat with Claire, his son's twisted little game was laid completely bare. "And what do you know? My gut was right," his father concluded, a cold, chilling satisfaction in his voice. AJ's entire world started spinning off its axis. The color drained from his face as the heavy, ugly realization slammed into him. Not only was his whole revenge fantasy a lie, but his father knew every last, sordid detail. His raspberry eyes were burning with pure, unadulterated shame. "Oh God, what have I done?" he screamed on the inside, the profound regret shattering him into a million pieces. AJ, his face a perfect storm of regret, finally choked out his confession. The whole story, a debt of apologies he could never repay, just hung in the air. It was a lifetime of screw-ups all wrapped up in one colossal mistake. He admitted he'd done something truly awful to Claire. Something unforgivable. Every single shameful detail just came tumbling out of his mouth. He recounted the monstrous ways he'd lied to her, the cold, calculated deceptions he'd spun. He confessed to the cruel games that had absolutely shattered her kind, trusting heart, the vivid memories of her pain burning behind his eyes. And through it all, AJ's father just sat there, a chillingly indifferent mask etched onto his face, completely unmoved. He listened without saying a single damn word. The silence was a crushing, suffocating weight. "Dad, tell me," AJ pleaded, his voice cracking. His fist was clenched, desperate for some kind of guidance, for anything. He buried his face in his hands as the tears started to well up. "Please, just tell me. What the hell am I supposed to do now?" The raw despair in his voice echoed in the dead silent room. AJ's soul was a raging tempest. His face was twisted in agony, a desperate plea ripping from his throat. "Please, just tell me what to do." And that's when he saw it. His father, usually a pillar of stone, looked crushed. His fist was clenched, desperate for some kind of guidance, for anything. He buried his face in his hands as the tears started to well up. "Please, just tell me." Every single shameful detail just came tumbling out of his mouth. He recounted the monstrous ways he'd lied to her, the cold, calculated deceptions he'd spun. His fist was clenched, desperate for some kind of guidance, for anything. He buried his face in his hands as the tears started to well up. "Please, just tell me." He confessed to the cruel games that had absolutely shattered her kind, trusting heart, the vivid memories of her pain burning behind his eyes. His gaze softened. "As for what you've done, you have to solve this problem yourself. Do the right thing, and never worry about the consequences. I forced you to study, I dragged you abroad, I kept you from having any fun." The father's hand reached out, a sudden lifeline. Of his own colossal mistake finally slammed home. His father's hand reached out, a silent plea. "Come here," the once domineering man urged, his voice softened beyond all recognition. "You little rascal, let your old man give you a hug." AJ hesitated for a split second, that tempest still raging inside him, before he let himself be pulled into an embrace he hadn't felt in years. His father's hand gently patted his back, a silent wave of pure comfort washing over him. "I'm not a kid anymore. Stop calling me that," AJ muttered, a final little flicker of his usual rebellion. His father just offered a tender, knowing smile, closing his eyes in quiet, complete understanding. The whole scene blurred, transforming into a vivid memory of his father, younger, holding a tiny AJ by a shimmering sea. This whole situation felt like it was ripped from the pages of a romance manhwa. No matter how much time passes, his father's voice echoed from the past, a profound whisper that landed squarely in the present. "You'll always be my little troublemaker." Not long after his finals, AJ's dad's long fight with his illness finally came to an end. He went out peacefully. But the real gut punch was the secret his dad dropped on his way out. A truth bomb of epic proportions. Turns out, his own mother had been playing him, swiping company cash and warming another man's bed, which is why they split. That little revelation settled in his gut like a lead weight. His uncle, bless his heart, swooped in with a comforting arm. "It's okay. I've got this," he promised, confirming he'd keep the ship afloat. He'd manage the business until AJ was ready to take the captain's chair. A quiet, okay, was all AJ could manage. But now, with his dad's last command ringing in his ears, AJ clutched his phone like a lifeline, those intense raspberry eyes practically burning a hole in the screen. His new mission, Operation Win Clare back. But any thought of a sigh evaporated when he saw it. Are you kidding me? She blocked me. How do you even start a comeback when you can't get past the digital front door? The next day, our boy was practically a statue in his flashy red car, those raspberry eyes filled with pure, unadulterated dread. His blonde buddy, having zero patience for this melodrama, snapped, "Get your ass out of the car and go apologize to Claire now." AJ's voice was barely a squeak. But what if she slams the door in my face? His friend, completely unfazed, dropped a nuke. Too late. I already texted her you were on your way. The look of pure shock that exploded on AJ's face was priceless. What? Since when are you and Claire texting buddies? His friend just smirked. Since the movies, dude. She hates your guts, not mine. AJ practically flew out of the car, steaming. And you didn't think to tell me? His friend just shrugged. You never asked, but any thought of a sigh evaporated when he saw it. Are you kidding me? She blocked me. How do you even start a comeback when you can't get past the digital front door? His friend, completely unfazed, dropped a nuke. Too late. I already texted her you were on your way. The look of pure shock. AJ practically flew out of the car, steaming. And you didn't think to tell me? His friend just shrugged. You never asked. But then, a flicker of defiance. Screw that. He had times to get Claire back. He strode towards the cafe, the bell on the door chiming softly as he pushed it open. And there she was. Claire, looking like a damn goddess in her work apron, turned with that killer smile. Welcome to, she started, her electric blue eyes lifting. Everything you're saying. It's all true. His foot was drumming a beat of pure anxiety against the pavement. The one terrifying thought on loop. What if I can't win her back? The jolt of shock was so real you could practically feel the static crackle between them. AJ's stare was so heavy it felt like a physical touch. It was all he could choke out. And just like that, the tray she was holding went crashing to the floor with a deafening clatter. Her voice, when it came, was sharp enough to cut glass. What the hell are you doing here? AJ squared his shoulders. A man on a mission. Claire, I want to talk to you. But she was already building a fortress. To the entrance, the words died in her throat. The smile didn't just fall, it shattered the second her eyes locked with his. He stood his ground, desperation carved into his features. I'll wait for you. Looking utterly defeated but resolute, AJ sank into a nearby chair. I'll just sit right here and wait, he declared, his voice a raw whisper that barely disturbed the air. The silence that followed was so cold, it could give you frostbite. Then, her command sliced through it. Please leave. Claire spun on her heel, her long hair a curtain of finality. I have no idea what game you're playing this time, she said, her voice trembling with barely contained rage, but I'm not stupid enough to fall for it twice. You couldn't be bothered to listen to a single word I said back then, so why in the world would I listen to your explanation now? Just go. Her electric blue eyes, usually so warm, were now blazing with fire. I have no idea what game you're playing this time, she said, her voice trembling with barely contained rage, but I'm not stupid enough to fall for it twice. You couldn't be bothered to listen to a single word I said back then. She finally turned to face him, and the pure hurt and betrayal in them was a punch to the gut. Because I don't want to see you anymore, she choked out, totally shattered. My boy just stood there, shoulders drooping like a wet noodle, completely drowning in regret. He squeezed those raspberry red eyes shut, probably wishing he could rewind time. And I seriously mean that. You have no idea how many late nights and gallons of coffee go into cooking up this spicy romance manhwa drama. So knowing you're actually watching makes every single second worth it. So if you got off on this wild ride, are addicted to the drama, or just live and breathe epic manual like I do, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and ding that little notification bell. Because the next juicy twist in this story is gonna come before you do.